Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching in the world. Sean Driver, the Red Horde. And have you ever recorded an entire video and then gone back and played it and realized you didn't have the mic turned on? Yeah, those sorts of problems. It's a long day. We're doing renovations. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff. But getting the Who Are You series out. Who are we? The Red Horde. We do hors d'oeuvre videos where we look at things that happen off the pitch and how they impact Wrexham on the pitch. We do watch along watch parties. We'll be here in 9.5, 10 hours, whatever the heck it is, in putting this together this time. And we do these, the Who Are You series, where we basically take a look around at the teams in League One and we ask the ultimate question of, and so join us as we look at, the gaffer, the players, the stats, the history of Lincoln FC, and we try to get to know a little bit more about the teams and the competition. It's a preview show. That's basically it, and we'll jump back in once we go through this. Part of me is like, slow down, make sure you get this through. And part of me is like, I just want to go to bed. It's like 1:30 in the morning and I still am going to have to put this together. We're going to one take this. It's going to be a little bit rough. Hold on to something. We're going to just blast through it and that'll be what it is. So Lincoln City. The transition and jump into the season stats? No, that's not what we want. That's from when we recorded before. It's this that we want first. Lincoln City, and we're going to talk about the club and its history. Lincoln City, also known as the Imps, will particularize and identify why they're called the Imps in just a moment. I have a photo. 1884 was when the club was founded, and one of the original founders of the second division when it fired up in 1892. And as far as their history goes, and one of the only honors they have, they won the high watermark for them, fifth in Tier 2. That was back in 1901. And they also have an EFL trophy, which they won just sort of recently, 2017, 2018. The population, 103,813. That makes it the 15th largest of the clubs that are in League One for the metropolitan area. We last saw them in 2016, November 29th, in the National League. Jumping into last season, how'd it go? Not bad, actually, if you're Lincoln City. 7th overall, almost, I say not bad. I mean, missing out and finishing 7th rather than 6th and just outside of the playoff spot would hurt. But they're in there or thereabouts, and considering their turnover has them at below mid-table rates, 6.5 million quid being the turnover, that's basically their revenue, their football-related revenue. That's where they sat. And last year, in addition to that turnover, the owners also threw in 2.6%. As to social media, across TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, 253,817 followers and alike since July 1st, or up to July 1st of this year. For comparison's sake, Wrexham, as of July 1st, 3,645,000 and change. That's roughly 7% following for Lincoln City. Now, followership isn't everything. We know that. It doesn't mean money. Bums and seats contribute to that. Followership contributes for ad revenue and certain things. But on the bums in seats, where do they sit? Well, they had an average attendance last season of 8,424, which was good for 13th, so right in the middle of the club. As to the distance, we're going straight east-west when we're traveling essentially over to Lincoln, 129 miles, 208 kilometers, and because the roads in the UK are congested, that makes it roughly over a 3-hour trip. Cap percentage, 83% of their stadium is filled during their home games, and they usually have a fairly healthy away allocation of about 2,000. I don't know what it is for the Wrexham match when we go there, because we don't know, and I actually don't know what they were doing this year, because those numbers I took before the season started. Anyways, the pitch dimensions, again, intrigued that it's so different and varies between different stadiums, but 110 yards by 73 yards. That means square yardage of 8,030, which is 15th. They're really into that 15th number. 15th in capacity, 15th in turnover, 15th in pitch area. If this was Sesame Street, I'd play a song. 15. Da, 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 da. Anyway, I'm losing my mind. Season stats. Let's jump into that and keep this sane. Goals for. They score almost at an equal clip to Wrexham. That's not an issue for them. We're tied for 6th. They're tied for 9th in the league. Where's the difference? The goals against. Now, they don't fall completely off the mat. They're sitting there tied for 13th. I'll get into details as to why that is. We're sitting 11 with 11 goals against. That puts us second. At home, we are still dominating. 7 wins, 1 draw, no losses so far this season. That's the sound of knocking on wood just to make sure that I get rid of any voodoo jinxes that may be out there. Goals for at home so far this year, 19. That's crushing it. That means 6 on the road. Such a massive divergence, even though that our points away are certainly way better than they've been in years past. And our goals against at home, we're toit. Call it squeaky bum for when you could. No, don't do that. We're just, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Low. That's what the numbers are. Goals against at home, low. Just the 4. For them, goals away, they're sitting at 9. That puts them 10th overall in the league. And goals against away, that has them at 8. That's tied for 5th. And they have the 3rd best away record of all the teams in League One. 3 wins, 4 draws, and just the 1 loss. Look, compare that to their overall numbers of 7 wins, 5 draws, and 4 losses. They're doing remarkable away from Sincil Bank Stadium, or Sincil Stadium, and now LNER Stadium. Why LNER? Why did they stop sponsoring Doncaster? Separate sidebar that I guess means nothing. But in any event, they are performing remarkably well on the road, and that's to be commended. As to the stats that matter, let's draw our attention to their save percentage. 23rd overall in the league, 57.4%. That's not going to go. If just a reminder, 70%, and if you're above that, you're having a decent year. That's good. Over 80%, you're having an exceptional year. 57.4%, I think that qualifies as abysmal. I think that is shockingly poor. The good news for them, they don't allow a lot of shots. Shots on target against, 3.19 per game. That's only 6th best in the league, but fairly impressive, and they need that if they're going to allow the goals. The other things and stats that are interesting is you look at the accurate passes per match, only at 194.8, which when you compare with their possession, where they're 7th at more than 50%, they're not a pass along the center back team. They are on the attack. They try to push things through their midfield. Their midfield exceptional defensively, create a lot of turnovers, but they are a little weak on connecting up to their forward line. Whether that's because the midfielders are just don't have the skill set, whether that's because the forwards just aren't there, but that's where they struggle getting it forward. They're well capable of shutting things down through the midfield, and we saw that in the match that we saw against Exeter City. It was a scrambly game. It was a 0-0 draw. It was aided because the referee was blowing anybody who went to ground as a foul. People were flopping left and right as a consequence. It was a horrible, maybe one of the worst football matches I've ever watched as far as entertainment value goes. It was a snooze fest. But for Lincoln City, they were at least on the front foot trying to do something. The problem was the midfield kept giving the ball away and trying to advance it to the forwards. The good news, they were able to steal a lot of ball coming back. So there was a lot of play in the midfield. It was just scrambly, ugly wars, ping pong matches and battles in the midfield, and nothing from that. We'll see how it goes. For us, a couple of interesting statistics. Our efficiency continues to move up. You can see us at 41%. We had been as low as 38, so we're climbing there back to where we were early on in the season, we contrast that. We're sitting 1st overall as efficiency with our FOTMOB expected goals. It's a useless stat, I get it, but we are sitting 12th overall. The reason why we're being so successful is we're more efficient than FOTMOB XGs expect us to be. And that's why we have as many points as we have, and things continue to look relatively positive on a go-forward basis. Still there on our accurate crosses, still there on accurate long balls. Look, we're going to have opportunities here because they're going to give the ball away. The question is can we push forward through the midfield and do our thing? Because if we can get a sniff at goal, I would suggest that this could be a high-scoring game. The opportunity is it could just be a lot of running around and a hell of a lot of effort, but just a scrambly mess of a football game. We will see. The referee, Jacob Miles, interesting first one I've seen that he's had experience in the National League, gets promoted into the EFL and almost takes a step back this year doing National League games again. He has done 5 League One games. That's has him up there for the number that he was doing. He was part of a 4-4 game, which is why his goals per game out of those 5 is at 3.40. As to his statistics, nothing really stands out. He's a little bit higher on fouls, tied for 19th overall out of the 54 referees that have been used to date. The league average, he's a little bit above that at 4.8 yellow cards per match compared to 4.27, which is the league average. His red cards, he hasn't given one out. His penalties, he gave one out, which puts him pretty much on the league average. So I don't expect anything dramatic from the referee, who we last saw, by the way, December 3rd, 2022 in a 1-1 draw against York City. So those are the statistics, those are the club details, and from there, where do we go? I start talking to you about, where do we go from there? We start to talk about the club. I gave you and intimated about the drive time there. You can see it on the map, basically straight east, straight west, along the line. You can get to go through Sheffield, close to Doncaster, or you can go the south route, which is a little bit quicker. That's it. They're coming to us that way. We'll go back there in a couple of months. That's it. As to their league performance, as I said, started in the second tier. They had their high water mark back in 1901. You can see the top of the table there, and then sort of the slide after the First World War. They start to get into the third tier. Then they plummet out from the championship all the way down in rapid succession into the fourth tier. And then they had that blip in the early 2000s that put them in the National League before they started to rocket back up into the third tier, where they've been living now. I think this is their third or fourth season. Third season, fourth season, somewhere along that line. Anyway, living up probably where I think, if you were to say they're home, even though they haven't been in the third tier for as much as they've been in the fourth, I think that given their championship history, this is where their clubs like to think they belong. If I'm wrong, Imps fans, let me know. Why the Lincoln Imp? Well, that's because of this little guy. That is the Lincoln Imp. He's in the Lincoln Cathedral. There's just one of them up in the ceiling somewhere. And so I guess that's the thing. And the old logo basically had a sketch of that Lincoln City. They've gone more modern and sort of, I think, rotated back in between them. As to the owners, and just to flag that for you, they really have a collection of owners, multiple different entities that own the club, multiple different shareholders within the entities. The community trust is involved. They've got a different company that's owned by really three people. The Jabara family being the largest. They're based out of Arizona in the United States. They've brought along a new owner that joined as of April, that being Ron Fowler, who's an executive, former executive of the San Diego Padres. He's joined in ownership. And then they've got a South African former hedge manager, who I understand is the chairman. And that is Clive, I forget his name. Clive. What's your name, Clive? Nates. Anyways, I'm not looking it up because it's too late. I'm just going to keep moving on. There's the skipper, the gaffer, the manager, Michael Skubala. Career coach in the sense that he didn't play competitively or professionally, but he did become a coach and was an assistant for Leeds when they were in the Prem. And now he's been with the club for, I believe this is his fourth year. 24, 14, and 14 record. I know that much, which still pretty impressive, you would think, sitting in League One and having a win percentage that is that high. Their kit, I love their away jerseys. Those, which is fascinating. Oxen is a Doncaster based, I believe that's the Doncaster based, yes, manufacturer, who I've been critical of their designs because their colors always seem a little muted. That white, black, and red looks sexy. I would suggest that that's maybe not the best away kit in League One, right? Gold, yes, but certainly up there. That's that second. But then you compare that to their home, it's a horrible looking kit. Branston, interesting, because as soon as I heard Branston, I thought Branston Pickles. That's like a relish-based spread that you add on with cheese sometimes on bread or toasted. I don't get the joy of. I really don't. I think it tastes like an expletive. But it's popular in the UK. At least it's popular with my wife. We buy Branston Pickle all the freaking time, and it stinks, and it's in the house. Whatever. Now I'm venting. I'm tired. I'm an old crotchety old man, and I'm tired, and I'm still talking football. But that's okay. That makes me a little bit happy. Where do we go now that I'm all angry? We talk about I'm just going to run with this. This is going to be an ugly video. Let's move my fat head over to this side of the screen, and I can bring up George Wickens. What can I say about him? 15 matches, 15 starts, 1,334 minutes. He's been there for most of the games. The other goalkeeper who has played a significant amount of those games has moved on and is out on loan. And so he's really the guy, as the backup is from Cheltenham, I believe. is where he played last year, 1 year older than Mr. Wickens, who's 23. He's had like some minutes. I assume there was an injury at some point in time, and stepped in. But really, that save percentage, 55.6% for him, that's not good enough, and it isn't going to get it done. Tendai Darikwa, I hope I pronounced that right. An interesting character, and I've highlighted him largely because there's a suspension in this match due to yellow card accumulation that we have to take advantage of, and I was looking for, well, where are the goals going to come from? And even though he's a midfielder, I've marked him as a defender, but he's been playing in the midfield. He's got 3 goals, 2 assists, and 15 shots in his 16 matches. This is where I expect some of the offense is going to be looked at. Experienced man. He played with Burnley when they were in the Prem. Now, he didn't play any Prem games. He had just had some cup matches, but he's been up at that level previously. Chesterfield developed, but last year he actually played in the Cyprus Premier League, their top league. It's not called the Premier League, it's called something else, but let's just say their top division, before returning back to the EFL on a free to Lincoln City. The other potential source of offense, I don't know, just because he's scored more goals than anybody else. They don't get a lot of goals up front. They're coming from the back. Odd. Pouty O'Connor, the Irishman from Lincoln, he's had some history with Leeds United. He's had some history with Blackpool, and an extended time with the Chickens at Bradford City before landing at Lincoln, where he's been since 2022. So experienced, familiar with the club, 27 years of age, into his prime, and looking to do his thing. I think it's Darikwa and O'Connor who are going to be looked at to potentially find goals, just because they've been the answer other than Ben House. And Ben House, their leading scorer, suspended, yellow card accumulation. Watched him in the Exeter City game, actually thought that he was quite poor in that one. Scotland international, who was born in England, has some experience there. 998 minutes and 4 goals and 1 assist from them. He's efficient, 23 shots and 10 of those on target. When on target, he's got a high percentage of conversion. He's out. So that makes their issue of connecting from their midfield to the forwards and the forwards doing a thing when they have the ball even potentially more challenging, or maybe not. Maybe whoever subs in there ends up being a world beater, and Ben House is going to lose his job through the suspension because they've actually found somebody who can stir the drink. The other name that's there, I put this one only for my own benefit, and that's Ethan Arahone. And let's talk about statistics. Statistically, this guy doesn't match up. And he's been with Lincoln City now for a number of years, and his goals and what he contributes as a midfielder, assist-wise or otherwise, not really there. But I'll tell you what he is good at. This guy is dog-on-the-bone type midfielder. He creates, he disrupts, he's a disturbance. He's a bit like James McLean, and I say that in the sense that there's a lot of housery that happens when he's there. I enjoyed watching him. He was the entertainment in what was an entertainmentless game. And so I'm kind of intrigued to see how he matches up with our midfield. He's pacey. He'll steal a lot of ball. He'll bring in some questionable challenges. And I don't know what he does. He doesn't appear to be saying anything. He doesn't appear to be doing anything to get under the skin of the other players. But Exeter City, they were fuming at him, and he just took it and carried on with his way. 23 years of age, lots of room potentially to develop, and I've been quite impressed with him. So there you have it. That's the club. We've done the gaffer. We've gone through the owners. I think that's it. The video's been going pretty damn quickly. So let's wrap this up really quick. I always compare the clubs to a UK food, and this one makes it easy. Branston is not the pickle company. It's the potato company. So I'm going to go, they're a jacket potato. Something I just don't understand. They statistically don't really have the stats that say they should be doing a thing. Watching them with my eyes, they look really messy, but they're sitting 5th overall in the standings and up near the top. So what do we get? Do I get shut up because these guys just seem to find ways to eke out points? Certainly possible. Do I think that this could be Cinderella, clock strikes midnight and these guys turn into a pumpkin or a potato? And we have ourselves a game. We're at the race course. I'm going to call a win, and I'm actually going to take a little bit of a leap and say I think this is going to be a 3-0, and not necessarily because we completely dominate, but I think that we have the ability to turn quickly on mistakes, and they make mistakes and they turn over the ball up front, and if we can turn on it and advance the ball forward, we're going to get some shots, and they don't have a keeper who can stop it. That's my take. Watch him have a hell of a game as a consequence. Look, watch alongs, come and see them. Like button down below, subscribe button down below. Hit that stuff. Let the algorithm know that we're out here and do its thing. Come and join us for the watch along. If you haven't done it before, if you can't make it out to the race course and you're in Wrexham, join us. If you're around the world, wherever you are, come and join us. The chat is there. You can find us on Twitch or on Twitter as well, but YouTube's better because the chat's easier to take part in. It's a lot of fun. We have a good old chat with some very familiar people who've gotten to know over the years. It's a great little community. Do that. Please come and check us out. I hope you like this one. We'll try and be back. I've got a couple other things that are on the cook as things are starting to settle around the home that is being renovated perpetually. It feels like forever. I'll see you guys in like 7-8 hours or less, depending on when you watch this. Have a good one. See you soon. Sean Driver of the Red Horde. Bye.